This is the exact routine I used to hit a 785 deadlift at 22 years old. And if you're committed enough and you care that much and you think I might be bullshitting, you can fucking scroll down all the way to like close to the bottom of my IG and look at my weekly deadlift videos, and they follow this exact structure I'm about to lay out for you in its entirety. It's not gonna be some science-based named method. This is just what I found worked for me. It works for all my clients phenomenally, and I would run it 1,000 times over again if my goal was to get back to 785 and beyond. And I'm gonna have everything explained on the side of the screen here so you guys can follow along exactly with what I'm saying. It is a double and triple progression ladder. So here's how it works. Week 1, I would do a double at an RPE 7.5. For those of you who don't know what RPE means, it means rate of perceived exertion. You always want to subtract it from 10. So if I'm saying I'm going to do a set at RPE 7.5, that means I should approximately have 2.5 reps left in the tank if I were to continue that set. If I were to do an RPE 6, it would mean I would have 4 more reps, and you get the idea. So let's just say I start the double progression ladder at 500. Week 2, I would do the same RPE 7.5, but for 3 reps. The key here is now you need to lower the weight because you're doing an extra rep. So the weight needs to come down so it can be in line with the RPE, because that's what's going to be the main driver of this progression scheme. After the triple's done on week 2, we're gonna move back to doubles for week 3, but we're gonna add 2.5 to 5 pounds to what we did on week 1. Small jump. Still the same 2 reps. We're not trying to add reps here, just slowly incremental weight increases. And then you guessed it, week number 4, we're gonna do the exact same thing we did with week 3. We're going to go back to triples and we're gonna add 2.5 to 5 pounds to what we did on week 2. And the cycle repeats on and on and on until I get to about an RPE 9.5 to 10. At that point, I'll take a deload and then I'll repeat this process all over again, but my starting weight for phase 2 will be higher than my starting weight for phase 1 if this is done correctly. Me personally, I was able to sustain this from anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks before I needed that deload. Some people can run it longer depending on their recovery. Some people might need to run that deload a lot sooner. Now, what about accessory work? Like anyone worth their salt knows, accessories are what drive strength gain more than the main lift itself. But the thing is, I'm just not a very big fan of the super specific powerlifting accessories, just because I also wanted to build a good physique, and those really specific powerlifting accessories, like the banded work, the chain work, just wasn't going to be the exercise selection that I wanted to build the physique I had in mind. So what I would do is I would pick relevant, easily loadable exercises that would translate into deadlift strength, but also have a great impact on growing the physique I wanted to build. For example, I deadlift with a very narrow conventional stance. Narrow hack squats and leg presses are great for building a quad sweep. So what I would do is I would do one set of 4 to 6 reps on a hack squat or a leg press, full deep. Okay, technical difficulty might cut out, but all I was saying is that I would use a full deep range of motion for those 4 to 6 reps to absolutely cook my quads as much as possible. And since I'm doing them in my deadlift stance, that strength from those heavy sets is going to translate into me having stronger leg drive and better quad engagement for my deadlifts. And then the next 1 to 2 sets will be a lot more hypertrophy focused in terms of reps so that I could build the quad sweep that I'm trying to build by doing those leg pressing movements with a narrow stance. And then for the other portion of my deadlift, the more lockout side of things, I would do rack pulls or block pulls, stiff legs, and RDLs. These are also very safely loadable exercises that will translate into my deadlift lockout, or that second half of my deadlift being stronger, but will also help me build a great posterior chain and erectors and back and so on. You're not trying to do this with super isolation style exercises like extensions or hamstring curls or adductors or anything like that. It's just not what those exercises are meant for, although they do have a very important foundational place in my programming for building legs as an example. The RPE for these accessories would be a 9 to 10, because these are exercises you can consistently push really hard without as much systemic fatigue being added as your actual main lift, such as your bench, your deadlift, and your squat. The key here to realize is that strength gain doesn't need that much volume. That's why I'm saying things like 1 set of strength rep schemes and 2 to 3 sets, and then the rest of my workout being more hypertrophy focused. You don't need super high volume for hypertrophy, but in comparison to strength gain, it is a lot higher. Now, here and there, based on my own judgment and discernment, I would throw in a week where I would maybe focus on doing like a pause deadlift PR, or like rep out some pause deadlifts, but that wasn't really actually integrated into the programming I was doing, and it was more so just I felt like doing it at that time. And I'll let you in on a little secret. This is the exact scheme I used to get to a 500-pound bench and to get up to a 605 squat. The 605 squat isn't as impressive as the deadlift. You know, given my deadlift strength, my squat should have been a lot higher, but that's a topic for another video. But obviously the accessories for those lifts are gonna look a lot different than what I would do for deadlifts. But this is the exact structure I used to gain all my big lifts and still build a sick physique, so that I didn't have some ugly, chunky, thick-waisted, blocky powerlifter physique that nobody really wants unless you're just fucking autistic and you want to be a full-time professional powerlifter. The key thing here is to respect the RPE. It should not feel like you're killing yourself every single session at the beginning of the phases. Think about it like this. If I'm trying to drive through a wall and I start with my car this far away from the wall, I am not going to have enough momentum and build up to break through that wall. But if I start way back here, i.e. I start at RPE 7.5 and I build and I build and I build and I build, that momentum is going to be a lot more significant for me to break through whatever barrier or plateau I'm trying to break through. Small steps when it comes to the gym will always take you further than giant leaps. And that's it. Free fucking game for you guys. You're welcome.